Yeah, I had from afar. I have watched Minnesota, Seimone Augustus, as an opponent, and so when I got here and we're going to be in the trenches together, I just shared with her what I knew about her, which was I don't know that there was a better one-on-one scorer in our league. She was averaging more than 20 points a game. She was an all-star every year, but there was not winning of playoff series. And so it was just a question of, what do you want your legacy to be? Because you're a darn good player. Are you going to be that player that had an unbelievable career but didn't have any championship trophies to show for it or rings? And so we just had that conversation. What do you want? And, if you want your legacy to be about winning, then these are the things that need to happen as a player. And it was just, kind of doing some little things, like being a great defender. She's long, she's a player that physically can dominate her opponent. And so, rebound, it's a possession game. How do you create more possessions for yourself? And then obviously just, kind of being our go-to player. We need a bucket. We're going to Seimone Augustus. We had certain actions that we were running. And so she just, I think we had talked about it later, as Seimone went from 2010 to 2011. Our team was obviously really successful. Seimone Augustus, went from being a shell of herself in 2010 after injuries to 2011 being the MVP of our team. So I think when people asked her about that, I think her answer, was that no one ever asked her to do the things that we were asking her to do. Now, maybe they asked, but maybe she didn't hear at that time. But we had her attention. Again, she'd say she'd walk into All-Star games with a big L on her head, and she just wanted that to be different. And so we're obviously we're grateful that things turned around for her.
A couple Twitter questions from Ben W., a longtime listener. Do you have scouting reports for refs, like knowing what they call more than other things? Let's start with that question.
Yeah, it's not a written scouting report, but we certainly have reputations of officials. And so when you get crews together, you don't get them in advance. So it's not like a week ahead of time who your crew is going to be. But when you learn your crew, if it's of concern, if it's something that maybe we saw them last time and there was, a certain attention to something in the game that we felt like we needed to, share with our team, we do. But largely we try not to worry about the officials. We may know it as a staff, some tendencies, but overall it's not, you can't make it a huge part of what you're doing.
Right. Unless you're the Houston Rockets, then your entire game.
That's unfortunate.
It is. And do you have also from Ben, do you have a favorite memory that you can remember like it happened yesterday?
Wow. There's so many, my memory is going, but I would say as it pertains to this team, whatever we're talking about, like when I run into Way and we reminisce about stuff or whatever it is, there's certain points along the way. If you mentioned 2011 season, I could tell you, certain games, 2012, 13, if you go through each year. Mm-hmm. But I would say overall, there's just not one memory, but there's a lot of memories that seem like they were just yesterday.
What jumps out at me? Maya's shot at Williams Arena. That one still sticks in my
2017.
brain. Yes.
Yeah, well, we had nothing going,
yep.
And everything went wrong in that possession.
Mm-hmm.
And then we were just thankful. I think Maya did an end around and grabbed the ball from Sill,
yep.
and we had nothing going. And thankfully, the defender in front of Maya was Raquana Williams. And from a size standpoint, she was able to get by her and shot a runner, 1-footer.
Right.
That. Only Maya Moore, Lindsay, as soon as the game ended, said, only Maya Moore would take that shot,
right,
and make that shot. And, like I said, very, very memorable.
Yeah. From Nathan Hansen, who was at the last live show, we appreciate him showing up. Which team does Coach Reeve believe made the best moves in the offseason, besides the Lynx, of course?
That's hard to know because I'm not a big believer in, the offseason as a standalone because that's paper. But I would say that, I have to look at each of the teams. I think that
the easy one from an outsider standpoint is Los Angeles, but I don't know if you share that view.
Yeah, I would say I was a fan of Phoenix's draft. I like what they did. I liked the trade that they made to get Brianna Turner, and they had Sophie Cunningham. So I like what they did. They got Essence Carson in free agency. LA, certainly, Chinea Gumake is a really good player. They gave up a first round pick in a draft that's, probably pretty average. So certainly you could have LA up there. That's probably it. There's probably only a few teams that really had a lot to do. We made a lot of moves because we had a lot to do. But how they all work out, I think those judgments should be reserved to see what happens on the court. I'm lucky in our case that the general manager is also the coach, so I can tell the coach how the general manager wants to see it done.
Tough boss to have, though.
Yeah, I'll tell you that. It's true.
From our friend MJ, which coaches have which assignments, and could you kind of reintroduce the coaching staff?
Yeah, we're fortunate in that I think through the years, we were very lucky that we had Jim Peterson and Shelley Patterson for so long. That continuity was key to our success. And so when Jim Peterson decided not to do it, we went to this place where we go, okay, who's going to fit into what we do? And I always tell the story that Jim Peterson made so much money that we were able to hire 2 people in his place. And so we got James Wade from last year, that left us last year, and Walt. We've moved Walt up from third to one of our full-time assistants. So it's Shelley and Walt as our full-timers. Now, I shouldn't differentiate between full-time. They're all full-time,
right,
when we're in season. But in terms of, a third assistant and just kind of how the league differentiates, our third assistant is now Planette Pearson, as we know. So we moved Walt up and we moved Planette in. We also have a new video coordinator in Will Dunn.
Yeah.
Will Dunn played with Sanjay Lumpkin at Benilde St. Margaret. So I actually used to go watch Will. Now, I didn't know at that time I was watching Will Dunn, but Jim Peterson has been really helpful. Anytime we've had an opening in the video side, Jim's pretty well connected, and so he actually brought Will's name to us. So we're excited to have him. He's got a nice calm about him, eager to learn, that sort of thing. In terms of responsibilities, this is going to be a learning process for me, just like with the players. But Shelley and Walt will primarily be charged with scouting in season. Walt will continue to be focused in very specific areas in player development, but so will Shelley, so will Planette, and so will Will. We like to involve all of our staff in that way to be on the court. But in terms of the scouting, it'll be heavy for Shelley and for Walt.
I mean, nothing ever stays the same in sports, but especially now things are changing. You've been the general manager now. No Maya, no Lindsay, maybe no Rebecca. Will you be different at the beginning of this training camp, either in the way you talk to these players, what you expect of them, how you run camp?
Yes. Short answer, yes. I have to be different. I have to be different for them. I have to, in terms of where the team was, certainly expectations of the group, all the way up to last year were really high. I'll always have a driver personality. I'm going to be someone that's going to challenge. I'm always going to have that. But I think probably the word patience is going to be the one that came to mind the most over the offseason that my team needs from me right now, and my staff. Because of the newness, I have to give them a certain amount of time to figure some things out. So there'll be days when I do well, and there's going to be other days when I won't do so well. I'm sure of that. I know what to expect of myself, but I don't ever want to accept less. And so I think there's that fine line that you walk. The way that you can coach, you can be positive and supportive, but also demand. And that's the line that I want to walk. And like I said, there's going to be days I'll do well. There's going to be other days that maybe smaller things irritate me a little bit quicker. But I don't, you get what you accept. And so I don't want to accept those things, and I want them to know that. But how I do it I think is what has to change a little bit.
Lindsay has a job that keeps her very busy. Do you expect her dropping by very often?
I think, knowing the college season or, the college off season and what it entails, she does have courtside tickets. How much was
How'd you get those?
I don't know how she got them. She got connections here. So, but I expect to see her and Ben, as much as they can, how much it ends up being, I'm not sure.
I'm going to leave it open to you. Anything else about this roster, this coaching staff, this season you want to talk about right now? Well,
how different we are. That's the thing that we're going through right now as a staff is that, our playbook can't look exactly the same. Because of what favored that group is probably different than what favors this group. And so that's what we have to learn. And so right now I probably, we're doing more of throwing a lot at them to see what we're good at so that we can then, by the time we move forward, we can pare down and really lock in on those things. So, there's a lot of that. I like our guard play a lot, in Danielle and Odyssey and Lexi and obviously Seimone. I like that a lot. I think that's, we're really confident in that area. I like our small forwards. We have Karima, Fisa, and Ting. They're all really solid. Fee's got some work to do in terms of her overall, perimeter game, but that's the same way it was for Maya in her first season. And I told Fisa that, that she's going to go through that same transition of guarding threes, but she did that for the national team, so I think she's got a taste of it. Our power forward spot, obviously brand new. It's wide open. Demiris has been here before. Today was Demiris' first day, and I just walked around going, that was money well spent. And Demiris just knows how to play basketball. And, that 4 spot for us, it continues to be really important. And Demiris allows us to continue to play the way we want to play in terms of throwing in the elbows. And the same thing for Jess Shepard, same thing for Elena Larkins. And then obviously we have Sylvia Fowles. So life is wonderful.
I have a million more questions, but we'll spread them out over all the podcasts. We basically do one a week. Check out talknorth.com or subscribe at iTunes, your favorite podcast app. Again, come out May 30th, 6 p.m. to the Pourhouse in Uptown, not downtown, in Uptown for our next live show. But please stop by the Pourhouse in downtown Minneapolis. And again, it's going to be a great pregame, postgame place. Also a great lunch spot for Lynx fans. Thanks to Cheryl. Thanks to Odyssey Sims for joining. We'll be back next week to tell you more about the new Lynx.